Welcome to the Stephen Mansfield audio podcast.
In this podcast, I want to make a prediction, not so much because I'm 100% convinced of it, but because I'm concerned it might be true, and by us pondering it, it may cause us to see the current presidential election a little bit differently. I think a man is a fool who makes ironclad predictions in politics. I try to avoid them. I think that there's every kind of possibility in the world that, especially in American politics, if you want something to change, just wait 24 hours, like what they used to tell me of the weather in Texas. If you don't like it, wait an hour. That's kind of the way it is in American politics. If you don't like the way things are, if you want something to change, just give it a minute. It's going to change. But there are some trends that I'm seeing, and I want to just sort of propose a theory. And don't get angry if this theory is not to your liking, because as a conservative, I don't like it either. But I think it may be the way things are going right now. So let me just advance it. You can ponder it. Get back to us on the website, or chat with us if you get a chance in whatever mode you want, Facebook, what have you. And we'll have a little bit of a dialogue here, but at the very least, we'll all gain some perspective, I think, and some sharpen our skills here in pondering this current election. I have a theory that Barack Obama is going to win the presidency in 2012. Now, I like Obama personally. I've written on him. I've written on him kindly. As you know, I know a lot of people in the administration. I was at the White House just a few months ago. And I'm just coming out in a week or two with an updated, expanded version of The Faith of Barack Obama, which will tell you the rest of the story regarding Obama's faith while he's been in office and what change that has undergone. But I'm not saying that I think he's going to win because I like him personally. I'm saying I think he's going to win, and despite the fact I'm not happy about that, as a conservative, I think he's going to win because I think that's how the political forces are lining up. Let me tell you why I think this. First of all, a year is an eternity in politics. I am recording this on Halloween Day, 2011, October 31st. So 1 year and a few days away is the 2012 presidential election. A year is an absolute eternity. Anything can happen. George H.W. Bush, a year before his presidential election, had the highest polls of any president in American history, and still lost to a morally troubled governor of Arkansas. So anything can happen in a year. That's number one. Number two, it's very, very difficult to unseat a sitting president. It can happen. It has happened in our generation, obviously. But it's very difficult to do because of all the props that he has and the control of media and so on. There's a third reason, before I get down to the Republican candidates, that I think this may happen, and that is I think a lot of the indicators that have caused people to be upset with him, not so much in terms of how he runs his administration and his principles and his leadership style, which I think are eminently frustrating, but from the perspective of the result for the country as a whole, I think a lot of those factors are going to change. The soldiers are coming home. We're on a timetable. They're coming home. The wars essentially are over. We are essentially sort of declaring victory and getting out, in a sense. We may even see troops victoriously marching down Pennsylvania Avenue with the president saluting them. I'm not just saying that's good film. I'm saying that'll make Americans happy. There are signs that the economy is going to surface and going to begin to ascend. Maybe not back to the old normal, but to at least a pleasant new normal. Things are improving. Jobless rate is dropping. The stock market was over 12,000 here, I believe, just this past week. Those are light indicators, but overall, we're looking at some interesting trends that indicate some good things. There's been a plan for bailing out Greece. The EU does not seem to be in as big a crisis. I could go on and on, but just like President Obama got a polls bump from the killing of Osama bin Laden, just like he got a polls bump from the killing of Muammar Gaddafi, and he had very little to do with the latter, he's going to get a polls bump from all of that as well. So I think Barack Obama is going to be looking like a greater president I don't mean a great president, but a greater president than he does now, let's say 9 months from now, which is about the time of just after the conventions and about the time you're heading into the big push. Now, the other reason I think he might win is that the Republican slate has got problems. I know most of them. I like them all. I'm not just bashing them, as an armchair observer or someone who just hates Republicans. Obviously, I are one. But let's just consider Newt Gingrich, fine man, thankful for his spiritual change and the good that he wants to do in this country. We know that he's going to go away pretty soon as far as candidacy is concerned. When I saw that he had not dropped a lot of weight in order to prepare for the presidency, and I heard from his staff that he was sort of running part-time and that his wife didn't even want him to run, I knew that he would run for a while. Probably his profile would heighten on the American scene and he would go away. That's certainly going to happen. Sam Brownback, good man, serious man, wants to help his country. He's not going to make it. He's not going to make it through the primaries. He will drop out eventually. I think we all know that. I think he knows that, but he's running to influence the country as a patriot, and that's noble. No way he's going to end up being the president of the United States. Ron Paul, again, I love much of what he says. I'm with him on a great many things. I am, as I often describe my politics, as libertarian as I can be up to the point of the Council of Scripture. I'm largely libertarian. There are just some issues I can't be libertarian on, for example, like abortion, which I think is the taking of a human life. So I'm with Ron Paul on those issues, but we all know he's not going to be president, and we all know that he will eventually drop out, and he will have influenced the election, and hopefully he'll influence conservative politics and hopefully the nation. But he's not going to be president. Michelle Bachmann, again, like her or not, I like her personally. I know her. Don't always agree with what she says politically, saddened by some of the faux pas. She's not going to make it. She might get appointed to something in a Republican cabinet down the road, but she is not going to become president. So we can remove Paul, Brownback, Bachmann, and Gingrich right off the bat. Mr. Kaine is a fine man. And I am proud of him being a success, not just as an African American, but as a conservative and as a Christian. I'm proud of what he did, by the way. I got through college pretty much on the fuel of Godfather's Pizza, so I owe him a personal debt since he rescued that company. I am happy that he is there, and I'm astonished that he's pretty much tied with Mitt Romney right now in the pre-primary season. But I think that he'll quickly begin to fade. Not because he's a bad man, but because he's going to have to appeal to all portions of the country. He's sounding a little bit more hardcore about some issues. That tends to narrow your appeal. There are a number of things like that to consider. So I think eventually he will drop out. And then you'll come down to Perry and Romney, which I think we all sense is the final race anyway. Now, Mr. Perry, I think, is a good man. And Mr. Perry, is a patriot, and Mr. Perry's done a pretty good job as governor of Texas. I do need to say that being governor of Texas is almost a part-time job. The legislature only meets every few years. The governor, it doesn't have that much to do. This was part of the problem with George W. Bush, whom I like. Excuse me. He did not have heated political experience like he might have had he been governor of another state. So again, Mr. Perry, good man, thankful for him. But there are several signs of an implosion already. He's already admitted he's not a good debater, and he even considered dropping out of future debates just to run for office without debating. That's not a good sign. That means he knows his debate performances have been poor, and he knows that he's not really measuring up, and he knows that that's not going to work for him. But you cannot avoid verbal jousting in politics. Politics is about, almost more than anything else, language. It's language long before it becomes about action. You send troops into war eventually as an executive order, but for months before that, you have debated, you have discussed, you've pondered the great literature, you've considered the Constitution, you've mobilized with speeches. If you don't have the command of that kind of artillery of words, then you can't lead. But the other problem for Mr. Perry is that his approach to Mr. Obama is so narrow and hard-bitten and inaccurate that it's making him look small, particularly since he's pretty much claimed a Christian platform. He has chosen, as I've said in another podcast, to go back to the well of the Obama was not born in America, where is the birth certificate stuff. And I'm telling you, as a guy who's written a book on Mr. Obama, who is friends with Jerome Corsi, who wrote the leading book on, which I think it's even titled, Where is the Birth Certificate? This is not the right way to go. There's no win here. Even if it's discovered in a year or two that Mr. Obama was not born in the United States, and there's just almost no way that's true, what will you be able to accomplish before the end of his term? At the very worst, it would begin to, or maybe I should say at the very best for those who are making that complaint, it would launch a whole series of lawsuits. Lots of lawyers work for Barack Obama. You're going to have the Secretary of State of Hawaii saying, no, he was born here. Hawaii is going to get sued. This thing would drag on for years, and the Obama administration would be over. I understand why some people might want to pursue it. Maybe they hate Barack Obama that much. It's not something a candidate on the Republican side should be talking about for 2012. It's just a dry well. And the next thing that's going to happen is somebody's going to suggest that he's a Muslim. Well, a Pew Forum study showed that about 20% of Americans already do believe that. Well, that's I just have to say it's foolishness. A man's faith is whatever he says it is and whatever he can prove the practice of, and Barack Obama is a Christian in some form. We'll talk at other times about exactly what that is. So I think Mr. Perry is going to begin to fade. I think his appeal in northern states is going to be dimmed. I think he's going to continue to implode. I think he's going to continue to have problems. He's apparently taking counsel from Donald Trump, whose political career, was largely about Obama not being born in the U.S. It's unwise. It's foolish. It's not going to reach to Reagan Democrats. It's not even going to reach to reading, thinking people of his own party. So I think he's got problems. And that brings us briefly to Mr. Romney. Now, Mr. Romney, I think, is a good man. He's a little bit robotic, as we all know. He's a little bit too much from central casting. He's got the Osmond kind of family. I've met a lot of them. They're good people. They'll laugh if they hear me say that. It's not offensive. But they're all just good looking with bright teeth is what I mean. The problem is that he's a Mormon, and that's not coming from any bigotry on Stephen Mansfield's part. The problem is that the polls show there is a certain percentage of people who will not vote for a Mormon. Even if he's as good a politician as Barack Obama, and they get down to whatever it is next year, November 4th, 5th, 6th, whatever the election date is, and it's neck and neck, if there's 3-4% of the electorate as a whole who will not vote for Mitt Romney because he's a Mormon, that's the game. And I think that's a major, major issue. And that's, of course, even operating under the assumption that Mitt Romney runs as good a race as Barack Obama. So I'm not happy about what I'm saying, but right now, I understand the big thing is to say Obama's doomed, he's dead. The people on the right are just saying why he's not going to win. You look at Drudge Report, you look at Fox, which I check every day. You just hear a lot of comments about Barack Obama's in his one-term mode. But I think that's not the case. And I think we're going to see him rise and rise dramatically. I think his poll numbers are going to increase. Is he a great president? Is he going to be one of the greats? Well, not yet. He's not by far. But the bigger problem is that on the Republican side, the best option we have for defeating him is probably Mr. Romney. And Mr. Romney has an unfortunate deficit, which, hey, it may be the result of bigotry. It still means it's there. Just like if Mr. Kaine became the nominee, we all know there are Republicans, there are folks in every party who won't vote for a black man. That's just the deal. So I'm not endorsing any bigotry. I'm not celebrating it. I'm just saying it's there, and it could mean the ball game. So for Republicans to defeat Barack Obama, they're going to have to step up their game, get through the primary period quickly, rally behind the lead contender, and if it's Romney, they're going to have to lance that Mormonism boil in a major way, and then go after Barack Obama on matters of leadership and policy and what have you, and not on silly matters like is he a Muslim and was he born in the United States. I could be wrong. Talk to me.
This Stephen Mansfield podcast was brought to you by the Mansfield Group. Find us at mansfieldgroup.com.